Inasmuch as one doesn't have to be a good artist to be a successful 3D animator, there's no debate that having a foundation built on traditional art principles and concepts is certainly of value. If you're serious about the field of animation, whether it be for a hobby or a career, you really ought to consider the value of possibly getting a couple of traditional art courses under your belt. Even if you never excel at being able to draw, picking up a few techniques that'll help you with your design and composition will pay big dividends as you strive to become a better 3D artist. Traditional art training teaches essential concepts and ideas that carry over to any art form, whether drawing by hand, shooting something with a camera, or pounding it out on the computer. For example, formally trained artists realize the importance of a well-designed image having a center of interest. They understand that properly staging a scene can make it much easier for a member of your audience to quickly identify the most important element or elements within a shot. Always remember, you don't want your viewer looking where they want to look. You want them looking where you want them to look. A little formal training would also give you a better sense of the importance of balance within a scene. You want to make sure that you're laying things out so that no one part of the scene feels any heavier or bulkier than another area. In addition to balance, you also want to make sure that your scenes aren't too symmetrical. In other words, mix things up as far as size and proportion. It'll make things look both more realistic and believable. As will adding a little overlap. Training in composition stresses the importance of never having all your objects lined up in a pretty row. It's the overlap that you build into a scene that'll provide a little extra depth and three-dimensionality. Taking a traditional art class would also work wonders in improving one's sense of color and shadow, two of the very most important elements in creating realistic work. Formally trained artists realize that certain colors go better together, for an example, whereas other color combinations clash to the point of making an audience feel easy or a little on edge, all simply by the way those colors are blended or combined together. It's really something how that works. So that's a few things to consider in your effort to build the best scene possible, one with interest and intrigue. But don't think it stops there with only classes in art. You might also want to consider maybe some formal training in photography or film appreciation. There's a lot to know in using the proper camera angle and lens length as you make the most out of your work. As I'll mention in our chapter on cameras, a camera can be one of the biggest assets you have in creating a certain mood or feel for a story. And one last thing I want to mention about studying up. I leave it for last, but it may be the most important advice I can give. Whether you do it in a class or on your own, don't watch but study the way things move, the way they react and interact with other things. What's the difference, for an example, between the way a basketball bounces and the way a bowling ball bounces, or a balloon, or a water balloon? Think about it, they're all round, but each would react a little different when coming into contact with something else, right? It's going to be your ability to accurately show that kind of stuff. That's going to be your ticket to making a ton of money and retiring while you're still young. So study up. If you're serious about this stuff,